Hello, friends. I'm very excited to be here with Jen DuBois today, and we're going to talk about some really fun things. I'm going to have Darcy read her bio first. Darcy?
Hello, all. Today's going to be such a great episode. Happy to introduce Jen DuBois, a certified life and empowerment coach who supports women navigating what she calls the messy, magical middle of midlife. Through heart-centered coaching and creative practices like vision boards and doodling, she helps women reconnect with who they are and step into what's next with clarity and confidence. She's known for her warmth, authenticity, and what she calls her signature, Jenergy. So with that, let's find out more and get into it. Back to you, Michelle.
I love that Jenergy. That's great. I didn't see that in your bio. That's awesome. Well, welcome, Jen. I'm so grateful that you're here and that I've had the opportunity to meet you.
Yes,
And
thank you so much for having me.
absolutely, absolutely. Um, Actually, I kind of wanted to start with that. I was going to go a different direction, but I love to know what this Genergy is. Like, how do you define that? What does that feel like? Could
So
you?
it's kind of hilarious because it's my bestie that kind of gave me that tagline. She's like, "Oh my gosh, you're like the Energizer Bunny, and you're always, just go, 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 and you have like all this joy and energy." And I'm like, "Really?" Like, I just, and so that's what she kind of coined for me. And I was like, "Oh, it's kind of clever." And people really are like, "Yes, that is you."
It is. You do. I don't think I've ever seen you not in this like higher vibration, peppy, um, just yeah, excited. So I've appreciated that about you. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. Not always that way, but yes,
Yeah,
I try to
yeah.
always lead with that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Well, and you probably are like, I mean, you do the work, right? So
Yes.
you're teaching people and you're living it, and that's what I think we all are trying to do. So yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit about this work that you do. A lot of our listeners like to kind of get a sense of what to expect and who this is for. I know we were talking about the types of people you like to work with, or which are midlife women
Yes, yes, primarily.
primarily. And I'm wondering, like, what got you into wanting to do this type of work with this demographic, like myself?
Right. Well, and that's exactly, I think that's what resonated most with me. It's like I wanted to work with the me's out there because I knew what I personally was struggling with and all the work that I've done and the things that have really resonated. And what I realized was uh, everybody in this little section of life seems to be having some similar threads, right? Navigating those life transitions, not knowing who they are anymore. Maybe they've over identified with being a mom and now their kids have flown the nest and they're like, who the heck am I now? And or even the career changes or relationship changes. And I think really getting a sense of helping these women remember who they are and more importantly, who they want to be in this stage of life. Like this could be a whole revival of who you are in this next chapter. So I think it's kind of an exciting period of time. And it took me a little hot minute to get behind the excited part of being in this section of life. But really, this truly is, it's the messy, magical middle. And I think there's a lot of opportunity here for, women to really connect with that version of themselves that maybe has been buried forever. So,
Yeah, yeah. I think it's always a win when you can utilize different modalities and your experience and strength and hope for people. It's just that really can vibrate and people resonate with that even more so versus like you being 20.
right, right.
And I know, I really know. It's like, well, I think you could have empathy for, but
Absolutely.
you don't really know till you're in it.
Till you're in it. Yes, 100%.
So, what really called to me when you were talking about your work is just a lot of fun and play and being able to help support women. Can you share a little bit about some of these creative modalities you use in your sessions?
Yeah, so it actually, I'll kind of go back a minute, and it actually started with vision boards before coaching, which is interesting. But vision boards is something I've been doing my whole life anyway. But I went through this training several years ago, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I need to bring it to everybody because it was more than just the vision board parties that people typically know, right? And I wanted this deeper experience and deeper process. And then what I realized in doing these workshops were, oh, I wish I had something to then carry forward with these people, men, women, people that were in my classes. And so that's what kind of took me down the coaching path. But many of my friends would say I've been a coach my whole life. Like I think it's just innate in me. This is just a very natural path for me to be on. And so bringing some of the creative expression pieces into my coaching and then being able to have an experience like a vision board workshop and being able to take people on a further in-depth journey, if you will, after they've done this creative process that's all about them. I think that's where the magic is really at because it gets all these creative things. And I do different things like doodling. And this is definitely not an art class. I tell people that up front, like I am not an artist by any stretch of the imagination. And it's really getting into that creative play. It's getting people out of their heads, back into their hearts, and being able to open up in a way that, I mean, talking through things can get you so far, writing can get you so far, but it's like, I don't know, there's just this act of kind of playing and doing some of these things that take you back in time that just connect a totally different part of you. And so many things have come up just from doing simple, very simple things, creative things.
Can you share about this doodling? Because that sounds so fun. Like I like want to doodle right now. Like what does that look like?
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, it's so much fun. And again, something that I was always doing, not really connecting that, oh, this in times that I'm like really struggling with something, I do journal a lot, but when I doodle, it's like, I don't know, it just feels like different. And I had taken another class that, again, it was like something that you take a class and it's like it just sparks something that you were already doing, but then just lights it up in a whole new way. And yeah, I started like doodling to process. And then I was helping clients do that, whether it was like something they were going through or something they were struggling with, whether or not they should do something, it was just putting, colors to paper and just letting it expand. And it wasn't about perfection. And it wasn't really even about drawing any specific thing. It was just really letting your heart kind of do the doodling. So yeah, it's super fun.
um I love the doodling. I love vision boards. It sounds like you actually you do have groups just on the vision boarding, or is that something you integrate into your individual coaching sessions as well?
Yeah, so they're groups, and I tend to keep them small. And I have a lot of reoccurring people that come back every January. So I always tell people you can do a vision board absolutely any time of the year. But our culture and society, it's like, oh, January 1st, we need a new vision board. So that's when I tend to have the most workshops, doing them for groups, and I've done them for, very large groups also. But my special secret place that I really love to play is these just, 8 to 10 women just gathering and being able to do this really powerful experience together. And they're coming back year after year. Like my process is basically the same, but it's the coming together, it's being in community, and it's reactivating this process each time we're together that keeps people coming back. And then I try to, throughout the year, I'll do my vision board workshop is called Ignite Your Vision. So throughout the year, I'll have check-in points where we reignite the vision. And it's like, okay, dust your vision board off. Like if you're not actively engaging with it, it gives you a chance to reconnect with it throughout the year. And, and people seem to like that too. And I just do that virtually, but we all talk about it and they're all holding up their boards. And it's a cool way to really tap into the creativity and the process there that they set these intentions, and now it's like bringing it back forefront and where are we at with them?
I love the mindfulness activity with that because you can create, there's a powerful um, piece in creating the vision board, which it sounds like you facilitate. And then I love the coming back to, because if there's not like a ritual or routine and connecting to your vision board, like you're right, it's like dusty and you're like, what's over there? So yeah, I actually hadn't created a vision board yet this year, which is unusual for me. um, I have images up, but I'm looking at where I usually put it because I like to have it in eyes view so that the manifestation can happen. So thank you for that beautiful work, and I feel like that is a very underutilized um, creative space for people to really do something that's fun and playful, and honor their intentions for the year or 2 year, whatever amount of
Yeah,
time.
and I think it's the work behind it, right? I mean, yes, sometimes vision boards I think get like the hokey kind of, oh, they're just kind of these pretty boards that you create and you throw a bunch of like cool images on there and hope they all come true. And it's like it's so much more than that.
Mm-hmm.
If you've set the intentions behind it, and like you mentioned, like my vision board is right in front of me, just beyond my screen on
Mm-hmm.
what I call my inspiration wall.
Mm-hmm.
And just having it in your presence, knowing the intentions that you set behind it, it just activates those images in a different way. When you're really, really in touch with it, it really activates it in a different, more powerful way. I say, sure, you can make one and put it in your closet and forget about it, and it's going to do something, but imagine what it could do if it's in your presence, like in your daily, wherever you see it at least once a day, and really give it a glance and give it some attention. That's
Mm-hmm.
what it's there for.
Yeah, yeah. What kind of I'm curious, like what do people, I know for some of the listeners out there, they're like, I wonder if like she's right for me. Like what are some of the things that you work on in your sessions with women?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think that's always a loaded question also, because I think everybody that comes to me, I don't have a cookie cutter approach. And I always say that because I think that's an important thing too. Like I do have a modality and I do have lots of tools and things that I have done and I bring into my sessions, but it's really client specific. And I'm actually certified in fearless living. So there's a whole fearless living modality that really changed my life, and that's what got me into this program that I chose to be my coaching, like my main coaching program. And then I've taken all kinds of classes and different things around that also. But that core concept for me too really comes into play with clients. But it's different. I mean, it depends on how they're coming to me, what they're really struggling with. And so I always make it client centric. So whatever that is, we have when clients come to me, we have a connection call, and what we determine, am I the best fit for you? Like, are we the best fit to work for each other? And I believe that, different people resonate with different people. But I have, several questions that I ask them and, kind of get a feel up for what they're looking for. And then we
Mhm.
kind of talk about what that could look like for them. And for some people, they may not be ready for the one-on-one coaching, but maybe they're really interested in more of a group experience. So that's a good time for us to evaluate what's the best fit for them.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I agree. It's I think it sounds like you have a very individualized approach.
Mhm.
I love when there's not that cookie cutter because we all come in. There's always some similarities, but we can be very different. It's nice to be approached in that way.
Yeah.
Because like some people don't even have kids going into midlife, so
Right.
they're not going to deal with that kind of empty nest feeling. Um, so actually, I'm curious. Like, I've got 3 teenage boys, and I'm constantly looking ahead. Like, I still have that mindset where the mama tribe tells you when they're real little and you're sleep deprived, like it goes by fast, and I'm like, never. I'm suffering now. And then, I look up yesterday, I'm on the boat and I'm looking at my teenage boys. I'm like, yes, it does go by fast. It goes really fast.
So fast.
And I'm curious looking ahead because I can't know what I don't know. Like, what are some suggestions you would give at least someone like myself who's not quite there yet, who's not, I still have three boys at home, but they're going to be lingering off soon enough. Like any preparation, is there anything to prepare for?
Oh my gosh, so much to prepare for that you'll never be prepared for. Like it's just, people told me that kind of stuff too before. I've got two sons and they're both, one's late 20s, one's mid 20s.
Mhm.
And yeah, just everything that you've been told and so it just can't prepare you. But I also say like midlife coaching, which that's a really good point to bring up too. People are like, what's midlife? And it doesn't have to be that you're an empty nester. It doesn't have to be that you're in your, 50s, 60s. That's like what people I think really see midlife as being.
Mhm.
Make it start when you're 40. For me, when I turned 40, it was like everything changed. Like that's when I felt the trajectory, like, and that everything shift.
Mhm.
And, so I tell people, I'm like, midlife is wherever you feel it is for you. Once again, there's no like cookie cutter number for me. Like, oh, I only see people between 40 and 60 and that's it. And that's not at all. I have a gal in one of my classes right now that is 77 and she's living her best life. Like she's doing all the personal training. She's doing the personal development. Like she is amazing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Jan, like you are somebody that's
Mhm.
like, you should be the golden girl of what the stage could look like because midlife is whatever you think it is. And I tell people, the people that I like to work with are the ones that are in that space. They're like, look, I'm in this space where I don't really know what's next. I may not be there yet, but I know it's coming, kind of like what you were saying, Michelle.
Mhm.
But it's like, but I'm ready for it. And even if I'm not ready for it, I'm ready for something to be there waiting for me, or I'm waiting for something to be there for me, to support me, to, help me through these transitions. Because
Mhm.
you just don't know what you don't know till you know it. And then it's like, okay, then let's do it.
I love it. I actually have an image up of me, like an older lady that kind of looks like me. And she's got really long curly hair because I know this sounds like, I don't know, kind of, not as much about the insides, but I really want really long curly hair as an old lady. I'm like, I don't want to bop off my hair like the traditional
Right.
women do. And I'm like, I'm sure it's easier, but I don't care. It'll be all natted with like butterflies in it or something.
I love that.
Grasshoppers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have like a visual at least of what it's going to be like. I have no idea what it'll feel like quite yet. Um, that's awesome. I love that. I love that you're available for us, to hold space in these creative, fun ways, because I think that our culture has dictated this really kind of dark gloom, doom,
Yes.
and that we're supposed to be fighting up against it. And there's all these peptides and all these things so that we can like not be. And I'm like, well, what's wrong with being with our age? Like,
Yeah.
like I don't really get it. Why can't we play and have fun and not have to like prevent, this thing? Um, so thank you for having that model of fun for us.
Well, I think it's coming into this stage of life and like your filter falling off a little bit. And you're like, wow, what I cared about before, maybe in my early days, I don't care about it all anymore. Like there's part of that where it's kind of awesome, like liberating, where you're like, I just don't have to care about that anymore. And I got different things to focus on. We only have so much capacity. So I think when we come to this age too, it's like, what's going to fill the space? Because it's getting pretty full up there.
Mhm.
So it's really about what really wants to take that prime real estate in your mind. And is it really all of these external things that are calling for our attention, like society's norms and all of the things? Or is it like, I want to live my best life, whatever that looks like for me?
Mhm. I love this. And it's Darcy um, has just launched her death doula business. So I started kind of thinking about this a little bit, Darcy, right? Like just I mean, not that midlife means death, but
Right.
this like synergy of, reflection, right?
Yeah.
Whether you're in that kind of phase like that, which is like one step ahead of midlife, right? Is that next phase. So it is kind of interesting to be so playful in all of the different stages because it isn't gloom and doom. Darcy, do you have anything to say about that or any questions up to this point?
100%. I'm just sitting here like mentally just soaking all of this in and also just like really drop down from my head. It's like I'm feeling so much like connection with the heart of being alive and
Yeah.
what that gets to mean. And I so appreciate how you bring uh such presence and also this buoyancy, like this light energy in, like Michelle mentioned, because there can be so much I've seen and heard people of all ages, just feeling really heavy and burdened by life, by being alive, by responsibilities. And there's such an equal opportunity every single day to see the gifts and to play with what like I could complain about instead. Like, how can I bring some of that in instead? And it really takes having the options and opportunities and modalities offered and mirrored back by others to make the shift. So grateful that you're bringing this in. The element of creativity this feels so necessary. And you said, I'm not an artist by any means. And I hear you. And I'm also sitting over here going, I've said that before. And I've also changed like how I say that because art is life. Life is art. We are all artists, whether we're drawing stick figures or, adding spices to a dish that someone might not think about, or, the color on our nails, right? The thoughts that we have that no one hears about. It's like we're all artists. And, uh, you know, saying F you to it needing to look a certain way has been part of my journey, actually, of coming up against how things are supposed to be, and how that can have such an impact in uh, the way we reflect on daily life. I can only imagine that the people that you're working with are leaving different than they came.
Mm.
And I'm wondering, are there any patterns that you see of, I know working primarily with women and who identify with being in midlife, in transition maybe, or reassessing what matters. Are there certain patterns or, air quote, like issues that people are coming in with that you see more typically that you'd share about, people might relate to?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And first, I want to touch on you're absolutely right. Great reframing of my language because 100% we are all artists. So thank you so much for saying that because you're right. I mean, that's an easy thing to say, like, oh, but I'm not an artist, but it's not about that, right?
Mhm.
It's all about what you creatively, individually bring to the table. So thank you so much for that because great reframe.
And
Uh,
and with that, really, Jen, I'm thinking how you saying that also gives permission for people to come as they
yes,
are. And so like both are super important. And it's like the labels don't have to, there's no prerequisite, right? For
right.
past experience. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so some threads I see, I mean, and that's what we're so much more alike than we are different.
Mhm.
And I think especially when I see women that are coming to me that are of this age and space and time, it's like, but even still, like even the younger ones, it's like the struggle with self-worth, the struggle with, am I enough? Can I really do this? Or, even as they're, some of these moms with the empty nesting, it's like they are really lost and they're looking for this sense of belonging. And I really try to encourage them also to belong to themselves. Like before you start seeking out all these external things, go within first, because I think that that's the part that we oftentimes as women, it's like we've done so much outward caregiving and so much, for others that it's like to come inside feels very uncomfortable and feels very disorienting for a lot of people. So I think that's a great place to start because they're like, oh, nobody's ever really asked me what I wanted. Or nobody's really like asked me like, oh, what's most important to me? Like, because it's been so, everybody else has been the important one, the people pleasing, the everything, and it's so, I really think that that's probably one of the biggest ones is just getting them to come back here. And it's like, what do you want? What would that look like? What would be fun for you to do? And
Mhm.
so tapping into the creative side of things, I think that kind of starts bringing that out of women. I had a 4-week series I did where I called it Drawn to Her. And we talked about the different stages of like being in the place of wherever they were at, but using doodling to kind of identify like what was important to them and stuff. And I had a woman that really struggled. Like she just looked at her paper and like I said, just start with a color. Scribble a color that feels like this. So I mean, that was like a mind-blowing experience for me too, because for me, doodling, comes pretty easy, but that's because that's something I've practiced and I've done a lot with myself. But to have this woman sit there and just stare at a piece of paper because she's like, I don't even know what I want. I don't even know what this could look like. I don't. So, I mean, it was like, wow, this was such an opportunity for the women in the room also to witness this experience. Like, how often do we struggle with we just don't even know because we may not have ever asked ourselves.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's so powerful. I'm sorry, Darcy, were you finished before I jump back in?
Well, I have one more question. If she knows me. I can always add another question. So they just pop up out of all over. Wanted to weave in the piece on that, Michelle, you mentioned on, life transitions and like my experience with like death doula work and really it's like life design, life planning and life design. I'm curious with your experience, Jen, either personally or professionally or both, if you notice that there's more sharing about, what comes later or reflecting on what's mattered in the past, what wants to be incorporated moving forward, from a place of not only necessarily desire for the future, but also regret about what hasn't happened. So thinking about the visioning
Yeah.
and how visioning is, it's we're either pulled by a vision or we're pushed by pain. It's
Yeah.
and I find that both actually can happen at the same time. That's typically my experience. And I'm wondering with either yourself or some of the people and groups you work with, if those topics come up simultaneously when you're talking about vision, also where there's been loss,
Mhm.
where there's been disappointment or anything like that.
Yeah, I think the first thing that came to mind when you were saying that, like the both and, it was like tug of war. It was like things pulling you back into your past, but things pulling you into your future that are so uncertain, like you just can't see it.
Mhm.
And so it's like, but I know this, but it's like if you know how this is going to play out, so it's kind of like that loop. It's like, okay, but if I just stay on this side of the rope, this is what's going to keep happening. And I think for women to be able to get out of their own way and to be able to try something new is a major level of discomfort. And it takes support and it takes that piece of being able to vision for the future and step into something that they may not even know was possible for them. I think that's one of the coolest things to see is when they outdo themselves. It's like, oh my gosh, I never even thought about that, or I never even thought to cast the wider net and to expand upon some of these things because they're so tied up back here of what they know and what they know that their life was and who they were, that seeing who they could be just is like mind blowing. So it's that's like the tug of war. I don't know if that really answers your question, but I just kept feeling the tug of war was coming in there.
Yeah, it does, the how different topics surface and have words being like we have words that can be put to them, seems to be the case over time where, you know, previous versions of me felt a lot and I didn't have words for what I was feeling. And as I don't know if this is about time passing, if it's experience, if it's developmental, it's, the nature of what I've been able to witness is that there are more words that are coming to, match the feelings of like there's loss, there's anticipation, there's desire. It's like, okay, and what is that wanting from me? Where is it wanting to go? And being able to look at a vision for the future, that also seems like such a beautiful opportunity to bring in specifics about what do I want my life to look like and what legacy do I want to leave and what does that feel like, but also what does that practically look like? And I'm like, Michelle and I get into like the practical, right? And that makes it possible to then go into all of these other creative territories and building and changing with stability and safety when the practice is taken care of. So I'm seeing how, bringing this in with ongoing support and coaching is just such a strong combination.
Yeah, and it's those like micro steps, like as I'm sure you both know, it's those micro steps that I think sometimes we often miss when you don't have support with you along the way, because it's like, well, I haven't done all of these things, and here I am already this age, and da da da. And it's like, yeah, but let's take a look at all of what you really have done. Look at what all, like you were talking about, like all our former selves, like those all helped us get to right where we are right now. And there's a reason we're right where we are right now. So it's like, and we have the opportunity to create what comes next, based on all of this stuff. So it's almost like reframing what you look back and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but it's like, oh my gosh, now I have an opportunity to transform some of that into what could be, and it may show up differently, but just, really that not fake positivity, but really that positive movement forward of, seeing opportunity versus obstacle, 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 obstacle. It's like, what if they're all opportunities? They're all just choice points.
The word of contrary action.
Mm-hmm.
To mind doing something you wouldn't normally do, but you do it anyway. I think what I also love about the work that you do is I feel like sometimes women in midlife are being thrown to therapy. And I don't think that always needs to happen. Like, oh, just go see a therapist. I think there's definitely a time and place if there's like severe depression or like certain elements, or ailments that could be useful. But I find that a lot of people in midlife need more empowerment, and your work is really about empowering and validating and holding space for versus diagnosing. Right, like we already do that enough to ourselves at this point. And once again, I am a therapist, so I am not down on psychotherapy, and I love the idea of doing psychotherapy and life coaching at the same time. Like that's
what I was gonna say. Like most of my clients have a therapist and me.
Okay, cool.
I'm like, I think they work beautifully in tandem, but I agree with you too. I think not everybody needs to go back and to process and to, deal with all the things from then. If you're looking at coaching, it's really you're ready to move forward. And I think sometimes people don't know which one they're really ready for. Like I've coached people into therapy. It's like they think that they're ready to be coached, but actually maybe they need to work with a therapist first. And then I'm like, and I'm here. When you're ready, we can do this together, in tandem.
Yeah, I agree. And I think sometimes when you start coaching and then you see the roadblocks, that actually makes it even more powerful, because then you can go in and do the deep dive and you're like, this is my block. This is what I need to work on.
Yeah.
When you don't know what you don't know. And I think coaching can be a vehicle to support people. and doing deeper level work sometimes if needed. So, well, this is awesome. I'm wondering, you do virtual and in person, correct? Because you're out of Kansas, on the
I'm in
Kansas.
Missouri.
You're on the Missouri side.
Yeah,
Okay.
Lee Summit.
She's in Missouri. So any listeners out there, if you're local, you can see her in person, but you do virtual across the states, right? Because I have a lot of California and all different sorts of listeners.
Yes, yes. So my one-on-one coaching is all remote. The in-person, I do workshops in person and virtually. But yes, all over, I've had clients all over the United States. I've had some in Canada. So yeah, that's the really great part about how we, really all jumped on the Zoom wagon in our 2020 COVID days. It's like if we got anything out of that, it was being able to connect with more people and to have a cast a wider net. So I think that's an incredible opportunity also, just to be able to reach more people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love the Jenergy and your doodling and the vision boards, all this fun. Thank you for doing the work that you do. And we'll have all your information below for all the listeners. Darcy, anything else to wrap up here?
If you were going to leave listeners and us with anything to move forward with or reflect on, what would that be?
Ooh, such a good question to move forward with or to reflect on. What comes up for me really is the belief in yourself, that anything that you really have on your heart to do in the world and to be in the world, go for it. Like there's no time like the present. But yeah, the time is now. I mean, life is too short to just sit and wait for the perfect moment. There's no such thing. So whatever's on your heart to do, I say go for it.
Love that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's nice to go into my Monday with. So thank you. All right. Well, thanks again for being here. We appreciate you.
Thank you. It's fun.